Well, guys, it feels like it's been forever and a day since we've talked, but I'm super excited to have all three of you, of course, from As We Ascend on the show to talk about what's been up since that very first single dropped. So how are things going?
It's been forever and 2 days, actually.
Sorry.
I'm a little disappointed that you haven't been keeping better count.
I know.
No.
I'm in the doghouse now.
It's been amazing. We've been doing all kinds of cool things. We just played our first show not that long ago up in Ohio at a live festival, which was absolutely insane, and couldn't have wished for a better show, a better place to do it, because we have so many incredible fans there. And since we released that first single, we've dropped an entire album, and it's got a lot more songs on it, 10 more songs to be exact. And we're currently blasting the single number 2, Tell Me, and it has been amazing, the response that we've gotten.
Absolutely. And it's funny because after spinning the very first one, I was like, man, this is really good. I'm curious to see where it will go from here, because there have been a couple of bands who will remain nameless who have put out some singles that I'm always like, oh, this is good. I want to hear what the rest of it sounds like. Then I listen to the album, I'm like, okay, this is disappointing. And I was very happy that you guys were not that band. So with that being said, was there any trepidation whatsoever to releasing the second single? Because the first one did pretty well.
Justin here. No, actually, we were really excited. When we released the first song, that was kind of all we had. So we had a little bit of variety to kind of choose from, and that one was definitely a fan favorite. We had our label executive group that we put together on Pledge Music when we felt out doing this whole project, and we made our fans part of the label and brought them in, and they got to hear the demos, and that one stood out from the beginning. So they loved it, and it was pretty easy to tell what the next single needed to be.
Awesome.
We asked them straight out, what is single number 2? When Wash Away has kind of run its course, what do we need to put out? And it was almost unanimous.
Yeah. I think even before we even asked them, they were saying that needs to be the next single. So it was that ravenous.
Yeah, it was tough. This is Robert. It was tough trying to find the right time to push Tell Me to radio, because we, like Justin was saying, by the time Wash Away had run its course, well, we didn't know when that was, because it was still charting top 10, top 5. When we decided to push Tell Me to radio, we just didn't know when that moment was. We were so excited for people to hear the new one, but we wanted the first one to kind of run its course. So we pushed it out and hoped for the best, and it seemed to be faring pretty well.
To explain the song Tell Me for the people who are like me, who I'm so much about the jam that lyrics, good or bad, tend to fall slightly secondary to me, and it's not until I've really just dug into the song for a long time that I really start just dissecting lyrics. But for those people who Tell Me is somewhat new, tell them what this song is kind of about for you guys.
So this is Jake here. Tell Me is a song that is a series of questions. We've all faced situations in our lives with people that we know, people that we love, where they make decisions that we don't understand, and we don't get an opportunity to ask them why. And to anyone who's been in that situation, and I really do believe it's most people, if not everyone, that can be such a gut-wrenching, I just want to know why. That's really the bulk of what the words are saying is why. Tell me, was it this, was it that? Tell me, and the chorus says, was it worth it in the end? But really, what pulls it all together is, at the end of the day, no matter how we feel, no matter whether we feel betrayed, no matter whether we feel hurt or feel like that, the other person wronged us so deeply or not, there is still forgiveness, and we have been forgiven a much. It's our duty and our obligation. Honestly, it's our honor to be able to forgive others, no matter what it is. And we have to. You can't hold on to that stuff. And so we wrote the song with Josiah Prince from Disciple, and he's a great songwriter and such a cool dude. And he came in and just started sharing, a story with us, and it was like, man, we've kind of got this song bubbling up inside. We've been talking about it. Let's bust this one out and we'll finish it together. And he contributed a lot. He did a great job. And I think we knew kind of from the onset, yeah, this is a good song. It's, it's hooky. It's got the cool beat and the nice melody. And then the lyrics are real. And they say what maybe, is a little harder to say.
Right. Was there a certain circumstance for any one of the three of you that really came to mind with that scenario? I mean, because I think for most listeners, they're listening and going, yeah, that's me in this situation where I just want to know this from this person or that person. Was there a certain situation that stood out for any one of you guys?
Nope, not at all. Yeah. Not a single one.
Not a single one. We're way above that kind of stuff.
Can't think of a guy at all.
No.
I promise that wasn't meant to be a fishing question.
No. I do want to say this, and I'll let the other guys speak as well. I'm not saying this to try to take any sort of extra credit at all for this song, but the inception of the song was an idea that I had, and of course I had someone in mind, a specific situation in mind. But I don't want, and this has ruined songs for me in the past, I don't want my own personal, very specific situation to affect what someone else might be able to take away from the song.
Right.
And that's happened to me before when I've heard songwriters explain what a song means. And it's like, sometimes it's not even close to what I thought it meant. And especially when you start adding specificity to it. And it's like, now when I hear it, I don't apply it to my life. I just think about that songwriter and the story that he told. And so for that reason, I hesitate. And then also because when we wrote that song, we were at one place, and I'll speak for myself. I was at one place in my life feeling a certain way about all kinds of different things in my life, but, about this circumstance situation. And as we grow, as we push forward and learn more about ourselves and discover more about Christ, sometimes our hearts can change and shift. And while the message of the song is unchanging and still will always mean what it is meant to mean and will be, that will never change, I don't want to affect other people's opinions or ideas negatively by being too specific.
Okay. I think that's fair.
I'll add to that a little bit, Justin. A good song doesn't really, a good hard rock song doesn't necessarily need to be pointed too much. You want people to be able to apply what they're going through in their circumstances to a song. That's what makes a lot of songs just really special. It's really trendy right now, especially in pop music, to write like shade songs where like there's little lyrics inserted to kind of point into a situation that happened. That's kind of like driving the marketplace. I know everybody's looking to a specific artist that just released a single, like, okay, what line is that? What are they doing? That wasn't our intention at all.
Right.
And I think, too, being believers, there's a lot of us inserted into that stuff, too. Sure, other people have wronged us, and I could think of like a handful of times that I've been really, really hurt and devastated by people's decisions, but I've also been the villain that's hurt some people in my life, too. So, we took a pretty neutral approach to a lot of things and had to really, eat some humble pie and realize that we're no angels. We're just as guilty as doing that. But at every point somebody has a situation that comes along in their life that is tragic, that's heartbreaking. And being Christians, there's a lot of times it's easy to kind of gloss over stuff and write really happy songs and songs that are really ambiguous and don't really go very deep. This was definitely going pretty deep and tackling some stuff that maybe, it's hard for some people to stomach. And we just wanted to go there,
That was really good.
Back to the song Tell Me, you guys had kind of mentioned that getting too specific is a dangerous thing, because for some people that might make the song more interesting, but other people, like yourselves, that can kind of ruin the meaning of a song because you kind of internalized the song for yourself and kind of made it your own. I want to know, what other things have killed song lyrics for you? Like, you already like the song, but then something happens that kills it for you. What would be one other thing that does that?
Seeing what a singer looks like.
Really?
There have been 2 times in particular where I was madly in love with a band and all their songs, or at least a few of them, and I saw what the singer looked like, and it just ruined it for me.
Okay, let's dissect that slightly. Now, when you say what he looks like, was he not debonair enough, or did he just have like a habit on stage that was like part of his stage presence that just goofed the song up for you?
Oh, they were both interviews. One of them, the guy, just hearing him talk and seeing what he looked like, I thought, there's no way you wrote those songs. You didn't sing those songs. How is this possible? I feel like I've been lied to, because you just don't look like you could have ever done that. And I know it's so bad. I'm not going to say the name of these bands for that reason. And the other one was a little bit similar, a very, very, very prominent singer of a gigantic, huge band, and everybody loves their songs. And I just, I'd maybe seen him sing on stage or something, but actually seen him sit down and talk was like, no, don't talk, stop talking, you're doing it.
Fair enough. I can totally understand that. Like, here's my two examples, one of which shares commonality. I'm sure you guys remember the song Closing Time by Semisonic.
Oh, yeah.
Watching that lead singer sing in their music video was, for whatever reason, just annoyed the mess out of me. I don't know what it was about it, but it was like he sucked in his lower lip over his bottom teeth, and then he jutted his upper teeth out when he would sing. It was weird that something can bother you so much that is stupid, because there was nothing wrong with what he was doing, but for whatever reason, it just annoyed me, and I could never hear that song the same way again.
Yeah.
So I can appreciate that. The other thing for me was one time, a long time ago in college, I was listening to an album by Soul Embraced, and I got pulled over for a speeding ticket. I think I've listened to that record maybe twice in the 12 years since then, and I really liked that record, and it makes me a little sad.
This just reminds you of getting a speeding ticket.
That's right, because every time I hear that one song, because I remember what song it was when I was getting pulled over, all I can think about is, man, I got a speeding ticket. That was horrible.
I have a lot of really stupid songs that are attached to really good memories, and so I just like those songs because they're attached to good memories.
I was just going to say that I think touring is really a good way to destroy a whole band's catalog if they're not. If you get on the road and you end up touring with some guys that are just treat you like trash, there's a handful of groups out there. Well, not that many. There's a couple in particular that just treated us like garbage, and I used to like their music back in the day, and now it's like, no thanks.
Yeah,
that brings back bad memories.
Yeah,
but then there's a couple of bands that, like Jake was saying, that were I like their music, and then you see them and they're the nicest guys in the world, and they're hardworking, and you like the songs, but then they grow on you even more. So that's a double-edged sword.
For sure. And I totally get that too, because I find myself, I end up liking bands' music more after I interview them and they're really fun to talk to, kind of like you guys. But it's not that I didn't like it to begin with. Of course, the first interview, I only had one song to reference, but I was like, you know what? I like the song and it's good, but these guys are fun. I like these guys. So that takes it up another notch for me. So I can totally appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Well, thank you, Paul.
I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Thanks, man.
You're welcome. Cool. So now, what would you say has been the thing that was most interesting about going about the process of releasing this record through kind of the fan filter of letting fans hear it kind of early on, getting feedback, all that kind of stuff? I mean, that's not the normal way of doing a record, and you guys have done records the normal way before, but how did you feel like that influenced the sound of the record overall?
I'd be interested to hear Robert's take on this.
Wow. Okay. So I don't know that it influenced the process of making the record or the songs that made the record.
Right.
As much as we had thought it would, because it kind of went with a no rules attitude. And we wanted to make music that we were happy and proud about things that were going on in our lives, or things we've always wanted to write songs about that couldn't because a label or management would say, hey, that's never going to fly. Well, people don't want to hear that. Don't write about that. We wrote about whatever we wanted to. Mm-hmm. So we wrote a record that we wanted to write, that we were fans of, I still listen to weekly in the gym or driving around. I love our own record. And we kind of just threw it out there hoping people would like it. So the fans through Pledge Music, our label group, our designated fans who became our label group, got to give us feedback before the general public heard it. So we got excited, and we just wanted more and more people to hear this music because we saw how excited our fans and our label group were. And so when we started getting that positive feedback, we're like, we did it, guys. We did something that people actually care about, and besides us. And we had no idea how it was going to be received at all, or if it would, or if we'd be shunned for not having a label and going the proper route through the ranks, or if we'd put it out there and people would love it. So I think the latter is more of the case. We've been more than excited and thankful for that.
Well, and this is Jake here. One thing I do want to mention, there were a couple of songs that their direct input did affect the literal outcome of the song.
Oh, yeah.
One of them, there was a line in the chorus that we put out, and it was very controversial. And we didn't say anything. We didn't bait them. We just put the song in our folder for people to access, and they all got notified. And the next morning, this discussion broke out, and it turned into a very, in some instances, very heated, in other instances, just very passionate about this one line in the song. Ultimately, we wound up changing that line because the majority of them said, look, with respect and love for you guys and what you do and for your art, we think that it would be in your best interest and ours as well as your fans that you change this line. And so we did. But there were also little things, like, hey, we think it'd be cool if there were screams right here. And when you get enough people saying the same thing, it's like, okay, well, let's put some screams in there. Then it's not something we thought about. As far as the record-making process goes for what we did, I want to jump way back to something that you said earlier. You said that oftentimes you hear a band's first single and you like it, and then you hear the rest of the record and it doesn't sound anything like it. Mm-hmm. And that is common. And the reason is because the music industry as a whole, the business side of it, says we need hit songs, right, no matter what. And so if your band, if you take too long to write songs, or if you turn in a couple of songs that aren't good, what a record label or manager might say is, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get the songwriter to come in and write a song with you. And then we're going to send you to this other songwriter, and he's going to write a song with you.
Right.
So they'll do that until you've written 15, 20, 30 songs with 15, 20, 30 different people. It's usually not quite that many people. And then there's just this slew of songs that all sound different, written by different people with different backgrounds and different tastes in music. And between the band and their manager and their record label and their producer, they'll sort through all the songs and pick the best ones, and then there you have it. You have an album. And so what that means is those songs are going to sound really different from one another. Right. And what we did that is very unique in today's day and age, and might be a little bit of a surprise for fans to hear that it is so unique, but we actually all sat in a room and wrote the album together. And we would have been happy to bring in outside writers more if we had the time. Just so happened that Josiah Prince was the only one whose schedule worked out with us. But we wrote it ourselves, and so there's a reason that there's a continuity between the songs. But because we all three produced the record and had equal input on that, we also all three have very different tastes in music and different styles that we pull from, and so that's why some of the songs are a little poppier, some of the songs are more like metal, some of them sound a little more progressive, and some of them a little less.
Fair enough. Now that the record's out, you're looking at it, and you're listening to it maybe on a weekly basis while you're working out or whatever. What would you say is your favorite song from each one of you from the record at this point?
Oh, that's tough.
That is tough.
Okay, I'll hone that in a little bit. What do you think, based off of the one performance you guys have done thus far, and looking ahead to the tour, which we'll talk about later, what do you think is the song that you're most excited about playing live?
There's a couple. I mean, for me, the last show, When the Gun Goes, was awesome. The message in that song is incredible, and fans really, really got into that. Hatchet's awesome because it's kind of aggressive and all out, in your face, a lot of guitar lines and stuff. We haven't played all of the songs live, but we played quite a bit of them. There's a couple outliers that are just kind of waiting to see if we can get them in rotation. We were going to do Insulate, which I really like that song. It's another song for me that stands out, but just we had time constraint issues during the set. There's a couple. They all kind of have their own thing. It's hard when you write something. You write a work to discriminate because everything has a meaning, but there are definitely some that stand out and have good memories attached to it, and then fans kind of latch onto a few.
Yeah, I have two favorite songs on the album, and it's When the Gun Goes and My Ghost. Okay. My Ghost is just, for me personally, it's just so fun to listen to. There's so many little, they say anytime you're writing and producing on a song and you have to put it, something's uncomfortable about it, at the end of the process, it can easily be your favorite thing because you do things you're not used to doing. And that's what My Ghost was for me. There's a lot of horns in that song that I just think are really cool. And what that song is about, it means a lot to me. But honestly, When the Gun Goes is a very, very personal song to my heart. And it comes with a message that I just want the entire world to hear.
Cool.
This is Robert. When the Gun Goes was my favorite. Also playing live, just it hits hard, and in the choruses, and to see everybody at a live fest singing along and headbanging with us, it's crazy. And then in the bridge, it breaks down, and there's a whole bunch of different elements that are introduced to the song musically. And Jake speaks his heart a little bit in the breakdown. It's a very emotional roller coaster for me. Just even being a drummer, sitting in the back. But just seeing the faces of everybody singing along and participating in that experience was a life changer for me. So that song is a lot of fun.
Fantastic. So now that I've alluded to it and you guys have already announced it, let's talk about this tour that you guys have booked.
Yeah, we're headed out this spring with Seventh Day Slumber on part of their City Rock Fest tour. I know Joseph reached out. Joseph Rojas, Seventh Day Slumber's frontman and singer, and asked if we would do that tour with them. And we're very honored to be able to go out and make some loud music.
Nice.
Yeah, they were pretty ravenous, man. They wanted us on there bad. And side note, I played a solo on the first track of the album, I believe. Yeah, Sky is Falling. So there's some more incentive to get up on stage and play. I think I might be able to get up there with those guys and shred it up a little bit.
Sweet.
So they've been really, really, really gracious to us, man. Really nice guys. Jeremy came into the studio. Jeremy Holderfield came in when we were tracking and hung out for a night and, kind of shared stories. We hadn't actually officially met him in person. I think we've met him in passing. But he was super, super nice. So we kind of hit it off, and we've been communicating. And I know some other mutual friends and bands that have been out with him have been like, yeah, you should get them out. So there's a little bit of a ground shaking, kind of like, yeah, you should get them out. And yeah, sure enough, we got offered, and we were super excited about it.
Nice. Now, I gotta say, I mean, I've been following those tours as they've done them each year, and it always feels like they get just a little better. And no offense to anybody who's been on that tour before, but the fact that it's you guys, Seventh Day Slumber, Disciple, and The Letter Black kind of makes me a little giddy. And if it doesn't come close to Nashville, which it might not, I'm going to be a little sad. I'm not going to lie, but that sounds like a killer show, and I'm super excited that you guys get to be part of it. And it sounds like a great way to kick off, touring hopefully more regularly, because I know that your fans would love to be able to see you guys out. And even though y'all all kind of have other things that take up time too, like most successful musicians do, I think it'd be great to be able to see you guys live on a regular basis.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Well, before we wrap things up, I mean, I think I've covered most of the things that I wanted to be able to catch up with you guys about, but I don't remember if we did this last time or not. I'm trying to make it a point to ask everybody this, but from each of you guys, what would you say is the most un-rock and roll thing about you?
About us as a band?
No, as individuals.
Everything?
No.
Yeah,
Just the one most rock and roll, most un-rock and roll thing about you. So the one thing that stands out that you're like, you know what? Like, I play guitar, I play drums, I like to sing and scream, and I get people, moshing in the pit and take control of the stage. But this thing, not very rock and roll.
All right, I'll start with this. This is Robert. The most un-rock and roll thing about me that I'm guessing most people don't know, but will now, thanks, is I really have a passion for magic tricks. Ever since I was little, I love watching YouTube videos about magic, like doing magic tricks for other people. In fact, I did one on my first date with my wife.
Nice.
And ended up marrying me anyway. Yeah, so I think that's probably the opposite of rock and roll, and it's just a hobby of mine.
Well, see, and I think that depends, though. I think that depends on whether or not we're talking like David Copperfield magic or if we're talking like Chris Angel magic, because one of them is a little more rock and roll than the other.
Well, I'm not wearing a tuxedo and white gloves and doing big pirouettes on stage.
That helps.
I guess it's more of the David Blaine, Chris Angel style magic, but I grew up watching David Copperfield and wished I was him.
Well, yeah, I mean, any guy who can pull off that hair and make a pyramid disappear has an element of cool that, even though a lot of people like to make fun of him, there's something there.
I see your point, but I think it's the antithesis of rock and roll.
Okay, fair enough.
When you see Robert do these tricks, they're pretty rock and roll. He's actually really good at it. For me, my whole life is just super rock and roll. My hair naturally forms into a mohawk. I was born with a nose ring in.
Nice.
My two daughters, I have a 3-year-old and an almost 3-year-old and almost 5-year-old. They were born with nose piercings and tattoos.
Cool.
Yeah. So I'm just trying to think of one unrock and roll thing about me. I enjoy, I like cats. I have 2 cats, and I have a dog, but he's high maintenance. He eats everything I love. Yeah. He gets into my studio sometimes and chews up things that are really expensive to replace. And there's my child now.
The nose ring was itching, I can tell.
Yeah. Cats, you don't really, you feed them when they want to give you some loving, they come and mine doing it, hop up on my lap for a second, and it's like just enough for me, just enough for them, and then they're gone. I don't have to think about it. And, I could catch some flack for that being pretty not rock and roll.
Well, see, here's the litmus test on the cats being rock and roll or not. What are the names of your 2 cats?
Oh, really not rock and roll. Really not rock and roll. Okay. Well, my Sugar Bear and Sprinkles.
Sugar Bear and Sprinkles. Nice. Now, what was the namesake for Sugar Bear?
That is what my 4-year-old called her.
Oh, okay. See, I was wondering if you had named your cat after the touring bassist for DC Talk.
The cereal?
No, there's the nickname for the bassist for DC Talk when they were touring for Jesus Freaking Supernatural. That was Sugar Bear.
Yeah. See, no, that would be rock and roll.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Okay. Well, we got one more.
My submission.
Right.
One more nerdy. I don't know. I'm not rock and roll. I mean, the music thing. I'm a big music nerd, like over the top music nerd. So I like really crazy progressive music that most people just be like, "What are you doing? What is this? What are you listening to right now?" Which whatever. Maybe rock and roll may not be. But I have a thing for sci-fi. Like I'm a big sci-fi. I love sci-fi movies. I watch a lot with my wife, and I listen to a lot of really, really heady intellectual podcasts with guys that are like the top of their field and like physics and quantum mechanics and stuff like that. Just really intriguing, weird stuff, really weird things. I like history a lot, so I kind of get a little nerdy. And it just kind of seems to be picking up the older I get, where I kind of like I'm looking for some obscure genre of something really nerdy, and not pop culture nerdy like Star Trek or anything like that, but like science. So yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Well, I'll take that. Fantastic. Sweet deal, guys. Well, is there anything else that y'all want to add? I don't want to leave any stone unturned or take away the opportunity to disseminate information to the listening audience and fans, but is there anything else that you guys want to put out there?
I know that we are all incredibly honored and completely blown away that we have a fan base at all. And, it's truly, when I say, every time anyone says, "Hey, we love your music did something for me," or "Hey, it's just good music," that to me, I just think, wow, I am not deserving of that. This was not contrived. We didn't, really have a huge game plan. We just wanted to make music for our fans that was true to our hearts and say what we wanted to say, what we needed to say. And so it's for something to be that, you're seeing a literal musical representation of the 3 men who are on the phone with you right now. And for people to look at that and say that they enjoy it means a lot. And so I just want to say thank you.
Yeah, I second that. I mean, we kind of didn't know if we had anything left as a career or, purpose with music at all when we started this project. It was just kind of one of those like, well, I mean, let's do it. We feel like God has called us to this, on this path, and we kind of stuck to it and didn't know really along the way what was going to happen. And people rallied around us, and the music started coming out a little bit at a time, and people were really excited about it and made us really excited. And yeah, today we just found out we went #1 with Tell Me on the radio. It was crazy. Our first #1 with the new project, and we're kind of like, I don't know, we're beside ourselves. Super, super humbling and exciting to see how far we've come with this, and it has all been because of people like you supporting us and the fans supporting us. We don't have big budgets and people, throwing money at this whole thing. It's just really fan driven, very organic. And so we're really touched and honored to be able to keep going.
Yeah, I would third all of that. Definitely jump on board with all the thanks. So thank you so much for listening to our music and giving us a shot. And thank you specifically for playing our music so people can hear it. So I know I speak for all of us in the band, but huge thank you.
Oh, well, hey, you guys make it easy. You put out good stuff. It's when I have to play stuff that I don't enjoy that's the challenge. So you guys are doing good. Keep it up. Sweet deal. Cool.
Thanks,
thank you.